जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे। जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, entitled Creation of the Universal Form. Padbhyam Bhagavato Jajne Padbhyam Bhagavato Jajne Surusa Dharma Siddhaye Shurusha Dharma Siddhaye Tasyam jata pura shudro. Tasyam jatah pura shudro. Yad vrittaya tushyate hari. Yad vrittaya tushyate hari. Padbhyam bhagavato jajne. Shurusha dharma siddhaye. Tasyam jatah pura shudro. Yad vrittaya tushyate hari. Padbhyan bhagavato jajne. Shushrusha dharma siddhaye. Tasyam jata pura shudro. Yad vrittaya tushyate hari. Padbhyam from the legs. Bhagavata of the personality of Godhead. Yajne become manifested. Shushrusha service. Dharma occupational duty. Siddhaye for the matter of. Tasyam in that. Jatah being generated. Pura formerly. Shudraha the servitors. Yat vrittaya the occupation by which. Tushyate becomes satisfied. Harihi the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation. Thereafter, service was manifested from the legs of the Personality of Godhead. For the sake of performing the religious function, situated on the legs are the Shudras, who satisfy the Lord by service. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Service is a real constitutional occupation of the living entities. The living entities are meant to render service to the Lord, and they can attain religious perfection by this service attitude. One cannot attain religious perfection simply by speculating to attain theoretical knowledge. The Jnani division of spiritualists go on speculating only to distinguish the soul from matter, but they have no information of the activities of the soul after being liberated by knowledge. It is said that persons who only mentally speculate to know things as they are and who do not engage in transcendental loving service of the Lord are simply wasting their time. It is clearly said here that the principle of service was generated from the legs of the Lord for the sake of perfecting the religious process. But this transcendental service is different from the idea of service in the material world. In the material world, no one wants to be a servant. Everyone wants to become the master because false mastership is a basic disease of the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul in the material world wants to lord it over others. Illusioned by the external energy of the Lord, he is forced to become a servant of the material world. That is the real position of the conditioned soul. The last snare of the illusory energy is the conception of becoming one with the Lord. And due to this conception, the illusioned soul remains in the bondage of material energy, falsely thinking himself a liberated soul and as good as Narayan. It is actually better to be a Shudra than to be a Brahmana and not develop the service attitude, because that attitude alone satisfies the Lord. Every living being, even if he be a Brahmana by qualification, must take to transcendental service of the Lord. Both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam support that this service attitude is a perfection of the living entity. A Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra can perfect his occupational duties only by rendering service unto the Lord. A Brahmana is supposed to know this fact due to his perfection in the Vedic wisdom. The other sections are supposed to follow the direction of the Brahmana. Vaishnava, one who is a Brahmana by qualification and a Vaishnava by action, that will make the entire society perfect in regard to the order of its social construction. A disordered society cannot satisfy either the members of the society or the Lord. Even if one is not a perfect Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, but takes to the service of the Lord, not caring for the perfection of his social position, he becomes a perfect human being simply by developing the attitude of service to the Supreme Lord. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadotam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adigaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all of you all to today morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are on the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the sixth chapter of the third canto. It is describing the process of creation and the creative potency of the Lord. And this particular verse is specifically speaking on the importance of service to the Supreme Lord. And of course, it is bringing the concept of Shudras being the legs of society and who are engaged in the service of the Lord and society. So today, I would like to discuss the concept of sadhana from this perspective. All of us are trying to practice spiritual life, trying to do sadhana bhakti. The primary basis of sadhana bhakti is this thought that we are all servants of the Lord. Jivara Swarupohoy Krishna Nityadas. And giving up this thought that we are masters. The way society is teaching us, if you look at all education system, if you look at all of what the media is trying to teach, and all of what the advertising industry is trying to teach, all of what behavioral sciences are all indicating, it is all towards the thought that we are masters, we are boss, we are right, and we are here to conquer the world. Practically from a small child to an adult, everyone is thinking in the same direction. Now imagine 1,000 people thinking that we are here, we are out to conquer the world. Who is going to conquer each other? It is not just from now. It is from the time of Alexander. It is time of, you go backwards to any conqueror, whether it is Genghis Khan or whoever you want to go backwards anywhere in history. This mindset of being the conquerors, being the heroes, being the superpowers is what the world is trying to promote towards. Probably the only people in the world that are really thinking completely opposite, exactly opposite direction, that we are servants of others. We are servants of society, we are servants of God, we are servants of everyone. We are, this whole concept of Jiva Daya, Vaishnava Seva. Spirituality is changing the way we think from the point of view of what service is. Even if you look at the corporate world, there is something known as service sector. The government employees are all, government servants, right? They fall under the service sector. Hospitality industry, it's all about service, isn't it? It's all about the service sector. There are so many industries today which is all service-oriented industries. But you think the mood over there is of being a servant, actually? Not really. If you travel some of the airlines, you start wondering, who is the servant and who is the master, To get one glass of water, you have to beg, literally, please, there's no concept of service over there. It's more of like, you don't deserve it, I'm giving you, be grateful, So, this whole idea of mentality is being retrained when we come to the path of sadhana bhakti. When we come to the path of sadhana bhakti, we are slowly, over a period of a lifetime, being trained to really understand that we are servants. What is natural for the gopis of Vrindavan, what is natural for the great devotees of the Lord, is very unnatural for us. It's not what we are used to hearing, it is not what we are used to seeing, it is not what we are used to experiencing. And then you come to the path of Krishna consciousness and you actually find devotees who are genuinely trying to serve you. We always think, what is their intention? Why they are acting so sweet? Why they are trying to show as if they are serving us. Because every time in the service sector somebody is acting sweet, you know for sure they want something from you. You go to a shop and the shopkeeper is really acting super sweet, you must know he is there to rip you off. Your concern, your needs and your desires is not really something in the forefront of that person's mind. In the forefront of that person's mind is when your credit card will come out and when he will swipe. That's all. That is the only thing in the forefront of his mind. And that person will do anything to help you get there. So when we come to the path of sadhana bhakti, the introduction to the path of sadhana bhakti is that we are all work in progress. Right now, we are sadhakas. Sadhakas means we still don't have the mindset of that it requires to do wonderful sadhana. But we are work in progress. We are trying to develop that mindset. Probably one day we will achieve that. When we hear stories of great devotees doing wonderful service with a absolutely perfect mood, it inspires us. It really inspires us to develop that mood. You look at stories of great personalities in history, great devotees in history. You look at Srila Prabhupada sweeping the floor of Radha Damodar temple, or you look at him grating coconut for his disciples. You hear of stories of Ramanuja going on his knees, climbing the Tirupati mountain. You hear of all these stories, you just get fascinated by what level of attitude these devotees have towards the concept of seva, towards the concept of service. For a sadhaka, these are very lofty ideals that one wants to achieve. But one doesn't know how to achieve those ideals. But of course, it at least is inspiring. In the beginning of the path of sadhana bhakti, the process seems to be pretty smooth and easy. Because it involves externals. Just like when you tighten a screw, when you drive a screw on a wall, the first part of driving a screw into the wall is very easy. You can in fact do it with your hands. If you just run your screw, it goes in. The first part goes in very easily. But that last one little bit, for it to go right inside, you need to put your life literally. All the energy that you have, you literally use a screwdriver to drive it in. That last little bit takes the maximum amount of time and energy. Similarly, when we come in the path of sadhana bhakti, the first part is smooth and easy. Giving up tea, coffee, giving up, the non-veg and giving up certain habits, taking up chanting 16 rounds, wearing tilak, kantimala, dhoti kurta, all of this is the easier part. And in the first bit of our spiritual journeys, we realize I've progressed a lot. And then I'm already a 16-rounder, I'm already a sadhaka, I'm already practicing spiritual life, I'm already doing everything that needs to be done. By the time we get there, it's a few years down the line. And then we think that I'm almost there now. That's when you realize the effort now becomes Herculean. It takes 25, 30, 40 years to go from that point till the point you progressed, in the first 4-5 years. Till the point you actually are perfected the path of sadhana, it takes a lifetime, many times, many lifetimes. Because the second part, it really requires effort. The first part is pretty smooth, pretty easy, because it involves externals. The second part, which involves internal development, takes a lifetime. Getting rid of anger, getting rid of petty jealousy, getting rid of being critical, getting rid of finding faults with other devotees, getting rid of the subtle things that we feel in our hearts. It takes a long time. It takes lifetimes. And many times, we're not even ready to face those things because they are too subtle for us to even realize it. The gross things are easy to point out. The gross things are much easier to understand. But the subtle things are very difficult to understand. How do you understand that you're feeling envious towards another devotee? How do you understand that you are genuinely not happy seeing another devotee's progress? How do you understand those things? You can't. It's not so easy to understand them. And therefore, the path of sadhana requires a lot more than just externals. Every sadhaka has 6 needs. Every single sadhaka, all of us have 6 needs that have to be met for us to do wonderful sadhana. The first need is a need for security and protection. The second need is a need for, which is called as a sense of self-worth. Third need is self-expression. That means the facility to express ourselves completely. The fourth need is spiritual direction. The fifth need of every sadhaka is satisfactory service. And the sixth need is soul-searching friendships. These are the 6 needs of every sadhaka. So we'll just go through these 6 needs and understand what exactly these 6 needs are and how do we get them fulfilled for us to be able to really practice sadhana bhakti in the most wonderful way. The first need, which is called the need for security and protection. When we join any company, any corporate organization, there is some security ensured. When you join ISKCON, what security is ensured? Is there any security given to you when you join ISKCON as an organization? And what protection is ensured? In the corporate world, there is health insurances, there are dearness allowance, and there are so many other so-called security, life insurance, and so many so-called securities that are there. There is a clause for termination in the government offices. When you join there, you practically are insured for the rest of your life. Nobody can ever remove you, literally. So, what security is there when you come to an organization like ISKCON? Just like when you are in a circus, you see these trapeze, they are jumping from one rope to another. And they have so much confidence because there's a net below that is protecting them. Similarly, when we come to the path of Krishna consciousness, there are some protections that we get. We take so much risks for the process of Krishna consciousness. And Krishna and the devotees protect us from so many risks that we take for the mission. When we join a mission like ISKCON, we need the mission, but also the mission needs us. Just like, so when you are joining an organization like ISKCON, a spiritual organization like ISKCON, ISKCON is not just a regular temple, isn't it? You don't come to an ISKCON temple just like you go to any regular Hindu temples. You just go there, have darshan and walk out. Nobody thinks about you, nobody cares about you, nobody even knows that you have come or gone, right? Except the CCTV camera. And of course, the Lord who is standing in the altar. But other than that, nobody else cares. But you come to an organization like ISKCON, every single person who walks into the temple, His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj always gave this as a direction. Every single person who walks into the temple must feel wanted, must feel special, must feel cared for. Obviously, whether we're able to achieve that or no with the volumes that we don't know, but at least we try our best to help a lot of people feel that they're wanted here. So the mission, though we need the mission and the mission needs us. Just like Lord Ram, he created the bridge. Now, Vanaras like Hanuman could jump across the bridge. If Vanaras like Hanuman could jump across the bridge, obviously Lord Ram also could have easily jumped across the ocean. He didn't need a bridge. But why he created the bridge? For all other ordinary Vanaras who could not jump. So that means he cared for them. He cared for all the others. So we all have some need for security, inner security and outer security. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the outside world, but we obviously cannot control the uncertainty outside. But if we can help people experience security inside, then they will feel wanted, they will feel cared, they will feel needed. And that's what ISKCON's first principle is, protection and providing security to people. Just like if somebody is stuck in a traffic jam in a car, can you do something about the traffic outside? You can't do anything about the traffic outside, right? But you can definitely do what you do inside the car. While in the traffic jams, while being stuck in the traffic jam, there are many things that you can do inside that car. That is in your control. Similarly, we as an organization, ISKCON as an organization, we can't do much about what the outside world is. But when somebody comes to the path of Krishna consciousness, ISKCON as an organization can take care of the inner atmosphere, the feeling that people have when they walk into this temple, walk into this community. And that's what protection is. So there are 5 types of protection Krishna gives his devotees. The moment any devotee walks into his temple, any devotee connects to the path of Krishna consciousness. The first protection that Krishna gives his devotees is protection from ajnana. That is protection from knowledge, from ignorance. So when we come to the path of Krishna consciousness, we get knowledge here. And that knowledge protects us from ignorance. I am sure all of you all will agree that if we were not connected to the path of ISKCON, Krishna consciousness, we would have probably been somewhere in some other spiritual organization or spiritual path. And somebody will be giving us some strange knowledge which is not even right. But at least when we come to the path of Krishna consciousness, we can be sure that this knowledge is protecting us from so many crazy, really absurd type of spiritual practices that are going on in the world outside. That is the first protection you get when you come to the path of Krishna consciousness. The second protection that you get is called as Vyasana Raksha. That means protection from bad habits. The moment you come to the path of Krishna consciousness, there are so many bad habits that automatically go away. Probably, we can easily claim that we're living clean lives. Because simply by being in the path of Krishna consciousness, the habits that we follow from morning to night, we live a very clean lifestyle. The third thing is, it gives us protection from mistakes that we have done before coming to the path of Krishna consciousness. There are many mistakes that we have done at so many levels. And when we come to the path of Krishna consciousness, it gives us protection from all those mistakes. In terms of the bad karma that we have already undergone, and also mistakes that we have made. The fourth protection is, it is known as Anartha Rakshana. That means there are so many anarthas that we have already done and we are doing. Over a period of time, when the path of Krishna consciousness purifies us of all those anarthas, purifies us of all those vices that are there in the heart. And finally, it's known as Shatru Raksha. That means the path of Krishna consciousness protects us from enemies. What kind of enemies are we talking about? There are so many types of forces that are negative forces around us. We all have no idea how much protection we are getting from all those negative influences and negative forces. Just like when Krishna was sitting on the Rath, chariot of Arjun, as long as Krishna was sitting on the chariot, no matter how many missiles were being fired at Arjun's chariot, the chariot did not get destroyed. Similarly, our bodies, our minds, our own whole beings are protected by the holy name, protected by the darshan of the Lord, protected by the association of the devotees. You go to any astrologer, they will tell you one thing. If you are going through any of these Mahadashas, Rahu Mahadasha, Shani Mahadasha, any of these Mahadashas, they will simply tell you, remain in the association of devotees. Remain in the path of Krishna consciousness. It will protect you. And there is a lot of subtle, gross protection that is happening to us by just remaining in the path of Krishna consciousness. And that is what the whole path of Krishna consciousness is. Lord Ram is known by many names. And one of the names that he is known by, he is known as Pratamanjali Kinkara. Pratamanjali Kinkara means, Ram has this very famous shloka where he says, Sakradeva Prapannoyam Tavasmiti Yachate. He makes a solemn promise that anybody who declares that I am yours, I have taken shelter of you, Ram takes personal responsibility of protecting that person. And this is why he is known as, the word Kinkara comes from the word Kim Karoti. What can I do for you? So when Ram is known as Pratimanjali Kinkara, he's simply asking, what can I do for you? That means he is in this mood of trying to do something for us, to make us feel secure, to make us feel protected, to make us feel wanted. So this is the first thing that we, as a sadhaka, need to perfect the path of Krishna consciousness. The second thing that we need to perfect the path of sadhana bhakti is known as determining one's self-worth. All of us, we have a spark in us, but we don't know that we have the spark in us. Just like Jambavan reminded Hanuman of who he is, and then he became the greatest hero. Similarly, we all have a spark in us. Krishna says in the Gita, Yadyad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam Srimad Urjitam Evava. He says, there are so many sparks in this world. But the problem is that, how do we know we have a spark? Interestingly, when we come to the path of Krishna consciousness, your spark gets revealed. So many of us in this movement, so many of us who are sitting right now in this hall today, can vouch for the fact that if I had not come to the path of Krishna consciousness, I would never have found the spark that I had inside me. Srila Prabhupada's movement, the path of Krishna consciousness, has a unique way of bringing out your spark. So many devotees are doing such amazing things. And if they were in the regular world, they would have probably not even done 1/4 or one fraction of that. Where did that spark come out from? It simply came out because we got connected to the path of Krishna consciousness. So the path of Krishna consciousness helps you find your self-worth. So there are many extremes of self-worth. One extreme is known as suppressed self-worth. Arjun did not want to show his self-worth, and he was ready to give up his fight. He was totally ready to give up his fighting. And Krishna helped him find his self-worth. On the other hand, in the Mahabharata, you find Karna was always showing off. He had a magnified self-worth. He felt that he was more than what he is, right? And then Krishna had to bring him down. The first category of people, usually, if they don't find their self-worth, they go into depression. And the second category of people, if they have wrong self-worth, they go into arrogance. Dhruva had a frustrated sense of self-worth, and that led him to anger, because he didn't know who he was, he didn't know what he was, and he was so angry because he just felt his self-worth came from sitting on his father's lap. And then Narad Muni had to come into his life and help him understand where his self-worth really comes from. And Gandhari had a selfish sense of self-worth, and for her selfish sense of self-worth, she actually blindfolded herself, and so many things that she did for the sake of her own son. So we all have a mistaken sense of self-worth. A lot of us feel, I don't think I can ever go back to Godhead with the kind of anarthas that I have, with the kind of shortcomings which I have, with the kind of practices that I have. But when we come to the path of Krishna consciousness, we are inspired to look and reassess our self-worth through knowledge, through the association of devotees, through inspiring sadhakas who can remind us of who we really are, who remind us of our true connection with the Lord. So this is the second thing that we all need as sadhakas. Someone who can help us find our self-worth. And when we find our self-worth, you will shine. I can tell you for myself, when before I came to the path of Krishna consciousness, I really had no confidence in myself at all. But after I came to our community, Radha Gopinath temple, and after I started associating with wonderful devotees like Govind Prabhu, Premnidhi Prabhu, and so many devotees, I suddenly started finding myself. Strangely, they found something in me which I didn't find in myself. And they started pointing out me to things that I had never seen in myself. And then suddenly I realized, yes, I have certain things inside me. And that helped me explore myself much more. And what I have today as a sense of self-worth is simply a gift that the devotees gave me. If the devotees didn't point out to what they pointed out, I would have probably never ever found what I have found in myself. Each one of us have something that is uniquely placed inside us by Krishna. But we need a Jambavan to help us find it. Otherwise, imagine, till that point in time, till Jambavan pointed out to Hanuman who he is, if you study the Ramayana before that, Hanuman never did even one heroic act. Not one heroic deed. It's not that Hanuman didn't have power before that. He was always powerful. But after his self-worth was really exposed by Jambavan, what he did was something else. So all of us have something inside us, but we just don't discover it on our own. We need the association of devotees. We need the path of Krishna consciousness to expose us to what we are really worth, what we are really meant for. The third is known as self-expression. So that means unless we are given the facility to express ourselves, we won't feel worth it. So even if you have talents, even if you have abilities inside you, there should be a facility that allows you to express that ability. There should be a facility that allows you to, open up your self-worth. And that is called as self-expression. For example, Srila Prabhupada had a disciple named Ishan Prabhu. And Ishan Prabhu went to Srila Prabhupada and he felt that he is not contributing enough to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So he went and told him, and Prabhupada asked him, what can you do? And Prabhupada asked him two questions. What can you do and what you want to do? He asked him these two questions. And Ishan Prabhu, he thought a little bit and he said, I always wanted to make things with clay. Srila Prabhupada told him, make an unbreakable mridanga with clay. And that's how ISKCON got its mridangas. Srila Prabhupada found one person's talent and he engaged him in that particular specific talent. Prabhupada asked him, what do you want to do and what can you do? Imagine these questions. These are very specific pointed questions that help a person not just explore his self-worth but also express himself completely. And Prabhupada gave the facility to express himself. There was one devotee, before he came to the path of Krishna consciousness, he was a thief. And then he became a devotee eventually in the path of, in the Hare Krishna movement. And when he joined the temple, that particular week when he joined the temple, a car of the temple got stolen. This fellow went and found the car and came back. He used his abilities, very natural talent that he had to find the car because he knew where a thief will take the car. So expressing oneself completely is known as self-expression. Self-expression essentially is three things. First, self-expression means self-development. Second, it is loving relationships. And third is service contribution. When a person gets to experience all these three things, that person feels that I have expressed myself completely. So one is interpersonal expression. That means I express, which is what self-development is. And then intrapersonal, I express to others. That is called as loving relationships. And the third thing is service contribution. So in this world, the way nature, the way the atmosphere, if you look at the way the world is created, this world is created to express. A cuckoo bird expresses itself so powerfully when it's singing. You just feel that everything inside it is coming out, isn't it? Or any other thing in nature, like when a tree blooms its flowers, everything inside, the best of it comes out in the form of flowers, right? It's called creative expression. So when the best of us comes out, it's called self-expression. But how does the best of us come out? When we go through these three things, self-development, loving relationships, and service contribution, then the best of us comes out. So what is self-development? Self-development is essentially five things. Physical development, that means your body and your mind needs to be properly developed. The second thing is whether you use the path of yoga, whether you use the path of exercise, diet and sleep, and whatever you need to do to physically be fit. The second is intellectual development, which is what the path of sadhana bhakti leads us towards, gaining so much of knowledge. We're reading so many books. Every day we're listening to wonderful lectures. It helps us in develop our intellect. The third is known as emotional development. When we have loving relationship with devotees, when we are secure in the heart, when we don't have feelings of envy and all of these things in our hearts, emotionally we are happy, in a happy space. That is known as emotional development. And the fourth is known as spiritual development. Spiritual development essentially is the 5 S of sadhana bhakti. Seva, Sangha, Sankirtan, Swadhyay, and the fifth, Sadachar. So when we do these 5 things, we spiritually develop. So the combination of these 4 elements of physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual development leads to a person being self-developed. If you come to the path of Krishna consciousness, the moment you come to ISKCON, your training begins. ISKCON trains you at every level. ISKCON trains you physically. Devotees teach us how to have a bath. After our parents, has anybody interfered in your bathing process? Devotees interfere. They teach us how to use the toilet. They teach us what to eat, what not to eat. They teach us when to sleep, when to get up. They imagine at what level of training is happening the moment you come to the path of Krishna consciousness. There is no other path in this world, there is no other organization in this world that goes at this level to train you up. The training that happens within an ISKCON community is massive. And it's at all four levels. There's physical, there is emotional training, there is intellectual development, and there is solid spiritual development. And when a person is developed in all these four levels, that person feels fully developed. Just like if you learn a new language, you feel happy, isn't it? So similarly, when you have fully developed yourself, you feel very happy. That is what self-development is. The second is loving relationships. And third is service contribution. We'll come to those two now. So we saw three things so far. Now the fourth thing is known as spiritual direction. So ISKCON, so the fourth need of a sadhaka is spiritual direction. How to live in this world, how to love Krishna, how to leave this world. Practically everything that you need to know from the womb to the tomb is called spiritual direction. When we study our scriptures, we get some solid spiritual direction. The Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to live in this world. The Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us how to love in this world. The Ramayana teaches us how to lead in this world. And Chaitanya Charitamrita teaches us how to preach in this world. So practically whatever we need for our spiritual direction is there within our scriptures. The fifth thing that we all need as sadhakas to perfect our sadhana is known as satisfactory seva. That means, so satisfactory seva involves two things. One is competence. That means what are our skills? This depends on our previous karma. And second is comfortable, which is guna. So when Krishna says guna karma vibhagasha, we should do service. What service is satisfactory service? Service that is in accordance with our competence and service that we are comfortable with. Both of this together is known as satisfactory service. So if that means, if something is according to the skills that we are already having, it becomes easy to use them in Krishna service. That is known as competence. And guna, that means doing service that we like to do. There are some devotees who like to clean a floor. There are some devotees who like to study scriptures. There are some devotees who like to serve the deities. There are some devotees who like to cook. It is very naturally, it's comfortable to them. You don't have to force them to do it. That's called guna. So when we need to look for both in devotees to engage them. And when devotees get to do service that is comfortable and it is according to their competence, they feel a great sense of satisfaction. And this is what the whole idea of service is that is being spoken in this verse. When Srila Prabhupada speaks about service, he is speaking about service that in alignment with our constitutional nature and with our occupational duties. Now obviously occupational duties in a normal world, we look at carpenter, or we look at plumbers, or we look at engineers, we look at doctors, we look at this kind of competencies, right, in terms of talents. But actually the scriptures go one level lower. Within those competencies, it looks for what is the mindset. So when it looks at engineers, it looks as a mindset of Shudra, which means service industry. That means serving society. That's what it looks at. When you say, I want to be a teacher, it looks at the mindset of Brahmanas. That means knowledge industry, So like this, the scriptures go much deeper into your competence and try to help you find that which is your competence and that which you are comfortable with. Somebody might have a particular competence, but they may not be comfortable with doing that. So when you give people a combination of these two, they really feel what is known as satisfactory service. And the last thing is known as soul-searching friendships. What type of friendships we need? We need friendships that are deep and are things that really help a person experience joy in this world. Before we come to the path of Krishna consciousness, we all had friends. But after we come to the path of Krishna consciousness, we all have colleagues. Suddenly friends get lost. I don't know if any of you have experienced this, In the path of Krishna consciousness, many times we lose the idea of friendship. We lose the idea of deep, meaningful relationships. And we remain at the level of a mission. When Krishna went to Sudama for the mission of his guru, there was a mission, but also there was a missionary. There was, the act of doing service for the spiritual master, but also holding each other's hands. Holding each other's hands is not something that devotees do if they are just colleagues. Holding each other's hands is something that you do when you have a deep bond with one another. If you've actually seen your own body language, you'll realize that. You're not comfortable holding everybody's hand. There are some people that you feel like holding their hands because there's a heart-to-heart connection. And that is what deep relationships are about. And we must invest in those relationships, find time for those relationships, and actually have deep connections. So these are the 6 things that Krishna and the path of Krishna consciousness provides a sadhaka: security and protection, sense of self-worth. Third thing is self-expression facility, the facility to express yourself completely. The 4th is spiritual direction. The 5th is satisfactory service. And the 6th is soul-searching friendships. If a sadhaka experiences all these 6 things in his life, he is fortunate, and his path of Krishna consciousness will be very interesting, and it will be a very exciting experience. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.